Hi, this is Alan with GameLark Remixes, and I'm here with a 2015 recap video. So obviously a lot has happened this year, both with my channel and with the VGM community, so I want to do, as quick as I can, a recap of everything. This is a very down and dirty video that I'm doing, so there's only going to be annotations in YouTube, and then there will be links in the description, but I'm not going to be too fancy with any like texts in the video or anything like that. So you might want to keep your annotations on. Where to start? I'm gonna go back to, I don't know how many people know this, if I've already talked about it, but the inspiration for this channel. And it's funny because I actually had a conversation with somebody on Twitter, the person who kind of inspired me more or less to start this channel, Jam2995, who's also called, his real name is Jake McCoy. And he's been around for a while. He's a little bit less active because I think he went to college recently, but he actually just came out with a new song from Okami recently, and that's when I, started talking about it. And I may be doing an interview with him, hopefully. It'd be awesome. It'd be really full circle to interview the person that kind of got me into this world. But anyways, to get back to the point, I remember listening to his Super Mario 64 Bowser theme, which was, 4 years ago. And I was like, this is cool. Video game music covered in like metal version. So I had never really encountered it before. And he was really the only VGM artist I listened to for a long time. And I can't remember the other ones that I started picking up on. But I bought his album on iTunes, and I was a huge fan of his for a long time. And I got to be honest, actually, I saw an interview with him. I can't remember the other channel's name, but somebody interviewed him. And it was in the back of my mind for years. And then when I came up with the idea of making playlists for YouTube, that was what GameLark Remixes started as, is just curated playlists. Because I figured there's a lot of people that are doing this, and not everybody has the time to find new artists. So I'll go through and make playlists. And then I started talking with somebody else, and they came up with the suggestion of, well, why don't you try and come up with your own original content as well? And actually, that was Hell's Six Bells. I got to give him credit for that. He was the one that kind of pushed me to try and come up with some original content originally. And I decided to do interviews, and I think mostly because I remember seeing that one interview with Jake McCoy all those years ago and thinking, that would be cool, maybe, to talk with the people that are doing VGM covers. And that's how, essentially, the channel was born. So it's been a crazy year. This idea took off pretty well. I'm very happy with how it's grown. And I got to be honest, I think I did some things right. I did some things wrong, and I'm going to be as honest as I can with this recap video. So, yeah, obviously the interviews are like the bread and butter of this channel. And I'm going to be honest, I think I was a little worried towards the end of this year that things may be getting too stale. And so I started switching it up with some new series, which if you guys are fans of the channel, you probably know. Like the Face Off, and GameLark Asks, and Top Picks, which I'm still doing. I'll get back to that. And what else? I'm trying to think. There was one more. I did chats, but that was only one-time thing. But really, I think it would be like Face Off. And of course, Volume 1 took a lot of my time, a little bit more than I expected it would. So it kind of cut down on the content. But I'm happy to say that my fears and concerns that these interviews might be too long or too content heavy for people, it seemed to be unfounded, because I recently ran a poll on Twitter asking you all what your favorite series was, or which one you wanted, and then conversely, which series you aren't a fan of or wouldn't mind if it was gone or disappeared or something like that. So the response was pretty unanimously that Face Off is the least favorite one, which that's okay. That's fine. I created that series just as a fun gag kind of thing. And I really created it because I was worried that it was a little too serious. Some of the content on the channel, not serious, but maybe too content heavy, whatever that means. 20 or 30 minute interviews. I don't expect everybody to have the time to watch those. So I wanted to have, a couple videos where, you can get some time to catch up on older interviews. Anyways, the YouTube formula, making sure that content is watchable, but it's also, quality. I won't get into the details. Bottom line is, next year, I think I'm going to stick to the interviews a little bit more closely, and I'll just pepper in those other things, like Asks. We'll see if Premieres becomes a series. That was fun, but it's very editing intensive, and I just don't feel like I always knew what I'm doing. It turned out pretty well. I'm happy with the way it turned out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that very often. Anyways, to get back to the point, interviews are going to be coming back, and I'm going to be doing those as, like, again, the main staple of the channel. And I wanted to take a second to thank every single person that I've interviewed for this year, because I have to be honest, it's just such a wide variety of awesome people from all around the world doing it for usually the same reason, the love of video games. But I mean, people from a musical background, like classical musical training, like Peter from Sound Old VGM, to, just fans. I would say it's a pretty even split. I mean, some people are just fans of video game music, pick up an instrument and learn to make covers. And then some people come in from a musical background and also like video games and then put their skills to use. So I'm going to go through real quickly and thank each one of these people that I interviewed. Minty1009, High209, Donut Drums, Dan Link, Swiggles RP, Sound Old VGM Covers, Project Genesis, G Doltima, Lord Biff Music, Ace Waters, Kane White, Rashad EB, 130 Grit Sound Studio, James Landino, Insane in the Rain Music, Hashlow 5, Diesel C1, Toxic X Eternity, and The String Player Gamer. Thank you, huge thanks to all you guys for agreeing to do an interview with me. And I don't know, I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm pretty confident. I'm happy with those interviews. I'm happy with the way I'm able to conduct them for the most part. I'm pretty happy and satisfied with the actual interview. I want to next year. I want to get a little bit more quality work as far as the editing goes. That's the one thing where I feel like I'm still behind. I'm not the most advanced with adding like intros or doing any kind of After Effects animations, and that's something that's on my priority list. It's just I usually favor creating content versus trying to make it look pretty. So hopefully I'll take some time, or I'll have some time next year to start learning some of the more subtle details of doing YouTube videos. And I do want to remind you guys that you can request to do an interview with me. There aren't really too many requirements. I will let you know I'm a little backlogged where I have a lot of people that I promised to do an interview with. And if you want to wait to ask me to do an interview, I would say wait a little bit, and I'll probably just make it known when I've got some time, and then you can say, hey, I'd like to be interviewed. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask if you have you're passionate about creating video game music and you want to talk with me and get the word out there. Awesome. And I'm going to return to something I was talking about previously, which was the playlists. I'm always working on new playlists. You may not see them for a little while. I'll tell you my secret. I try and wait until I hit 10 videos for the playlist, because I feel like there needs to be a substantial amount of music for somebody to click on the playlist and to find enough songs and enough artists. So I have a lot of playlists that are private, and I've asked a couple times what games they would like playlists for, and there's been several that I already have playlists created, but they're just private. So right now I have 56 game playlists, which I'm pretty happy with. All right, here we go. I have the top 5 playlists right here. Undertale with 3,890 views, Shovel Knight with 1,084 views, Mario Kart with 712 views, GameLark Records Volume 1 with 691 views, and Mega Man with 537 views. I do want to remind you now also, speaking of playlists and covers and all that, there's a growing community on Reddit with a VG Covers / Pixel Mixers community. A lot of community albums. You can go there and it's very open and engaging, and people there are very friendly, and you can join any of the albums that you want as long as you make the deadlines. But also, if you have a cover that you're proud of, and say you're the type of person who only makes a couple covers a year because you're busy, or it just takes you a little bit longer than some people. If you're proud of that cover, send it to me. I'm happy to share covers on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I'm happy to bring attention to people. And I actually like it because it makes my job a little bit easier. And then I don't have to go out and find one cover to tweet out. I've got it right there. So, in fact, I'm going to talk about some of the new series soon. I'll get back to this later, but feel free to send suggestions and ideas to me, because I do listen to them, and sometimes I do use them. And then finally, I want to talk about GameLark Records, which I talked a lot about, like the creation of it and the idea behind it. And I want to be honest, I think the first album was a success in some measure and a failure in some measure. And the ways that it was a success to me was it brought together a lot of artists from a wide variety of genres, and I feel like it was pretty cohesive, or at least it was a good representation of the VGM community. Where I feel like it failed is the distribution, which it's really, I guess, just my inexperience that kind of crippled me. I had good advice and I thought I had everything locked down, and just due to licensing issues and due to the way that Ladder works, and honestly, I'm going to give you guys a warning here, due to the way that Nintendo processes copyrights and the way that they allow people to make covers and don't allow people to make covers, it kind of caught me up, it kind of caught me off guard, so to speak. And it was just a little disappointing, a little discouraging to have the album go up and then immediately the same day have them pull it. So that kind of, I don't know, it kind of got me down for a little bit. I kept doing the channel. My heart is still in it, but it's just, it messed with my head because I was so excited to get this out, and there was a few things. Like, it was really the only trouble I had was like leading up to the release, and then I wanted it to release a week before, and then they didn't know when it was going to be ready. So I'm going to be honest, for the next album we're going to do it completely different, and I'll just say it like this: you won't know about the album until it's out, because I'm not going to try and set a release date and then try and hit that release date and then have Ladder go past that release date. So when you hear about the next album, it'll be out, which I think it's good for everybody. But to get back to the point, yeah, if you are doing Nintendo covers and you're trying to license them, I would recommend talking to a lot of people and talking with Ladder directly, because I really don't understand I understand what they're supposed to be, the copyright laws and the way that Nintendo processes copyrights, but it just seems like there isn't like any consistency with it, where certain people are allowed to make covers from certain games and then other people are not allowed to make covers of that same game. It really doesn't seem consistent to me. And that's not me bashing Ladder or Nintendo. I get that this is just some gray area with copyright law, and hopefully someday they figure it out. But I'm just giving that friendly warning to any of you that do covers and are thinking about putting it up online. Be careful, because there's nothing worse than working on something for months and then having it pulled and dealing with all that mess. So I don't want to dwell too much on the past. The good news is we are working on a new album for GameLark Records. I'm not going to announce what it is. It is themed. We're going to have some new artists. Oh yeah, we're going to have some new artists. I may announce those guys and gals before the album drops. But in the meantime, just know that we're working on the next one. And let's see. So I guess looking forward to 2016, what do we have to look forward to? Well, I have a couple series that I'm planning on continuing doing. Obviously, the interviews are going to continue. Obviously, GameLark Asks. I like that series. It's kind of fun to get some sampling of the community. Premieres may continue, like I said, depending on how motivated I am. And let's see, what do I want to talk about first? There's a new series I'd like to announce. And remember, I said earlier, send me your suggestions and ideas, because sometimes I take them and I use them. And there's a perfect example of this where I have a new series coming out this Friday. That's right, 2 days from now, maybe less than that, actually. Look for it on New Year's Day at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Challenger Approaching. And I don't want to explain the idea behind the series because the first video will do that. But it's essentially going to be an easy way. It's going to be a way for newer artists that aren't as well known in the community to get their name and to get their music out there. So I'm very excited for that. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So that's going to be a series that if it does well, and if you guys enjoy it, and if you'll see if it takes off, that's going to be something that I hope is going to be pretty regular. And what else? Two more things. There's actually one thing that's a new series, and then one thing that's something else I wanted to talk about. New series. So I'm rethinking the way I want to do GameLark chats. And I maybe shouldn't be announcing this now, but I'm thinking about using Twitch. And I'm thinking about doing a monthly show kind of to replace top picks, where top picks, I used to make videos for that. I decided to stop making videos. One, because they're a little bit pointless in my opinion. The video is literally me saying, I like this artist, go check them out, which I can do on Twitter and Facebook. And then saying, I like this song, go check it out, which I can do on Twitter and Facebook. And all it really is me referring you to a song or referring you to an artist, which doesn't really make sense to make a video for that and then talk about the playlist. So the top pick still exists. It's just, again, if you don't follow me on Facebook or Twitter, maybe you should, so that you can find out about the top picks and you can find out more updates about the channel. And then, of course, the YouTube playlists are going to stay the same. I actually am going to do the top picks December list pretty soon as well. So that is the goal with chat. I'm going to redesign chats. So where I was talking about community news and top picks, I'm going to do that on Twitch now. And I'm thinking I might have guests come on. And we might have a Skype discussion. And I don't really know if I'm going to be playing video games in the background or what I'm going to be doing. But I know that I'm going to be having a chat, maybe 30 minutes to an hour long, where I have a guest and you guys can come in and maybe ask questions of the guest, or we'll have a conversation or whatever it may be. And I can record it or keep it up on Twitch or put it up on YouTube. I haven't decided all the details. But I want to I want to raise the engagement. I want to get the community together and talking and, plus, Twitch is a pretty cool community. I just never really had a use for it yet, and I think this might be really neat. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. It's going to take me a while to figure out exactly how to do this, but that's one of my goals for next year. And then finally, this is finally I want to bring up something I'm very excited for next year, which is Magfest 2016, because I am going, and I am super pumped because a lot of the people that I've met over the past year are going to be there, and I'm planning on buying some camera equipment and buying some audio equipment, and I will be going out and interviewing people and interviewing fans and perhaps even recording, footage of performances like concerts and DJ sets, and I don't know, the sky's the limit, really. This is the perfect place for me to go. And I'm hoping that I can maybe make a few new fans there too. Anyways, so that kind of leads me to my last thing I want to bring up. And I'm a little hesitant to announce this and to talk about this because it has to do with money. And everybody hates talking about money on YouTube. So I thought about for a while. Not for a while. Right now, all the CDs that I'm buying, more or less, except for when I get codes for the giveaways, I'm paying for with my own money, which is not a problem. I have a 40-hour week job. It's a good paying job, but whatever. My long-term goal is my long-term goal is to make the channel self-sufficient, which means where I don't have to take any of my personal money to spend it on albums that I'm giving away. I would like to start doing game giveaways, and I'd like to start getting better equipment. So I really don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't know how important the channel is to you, I guess is the best way to put it. Because I definitely don't want to mess with Patreon, because there are so many great artists that deserve, or maybe not deserve, but they could use the money more than I could. So it's more like, if you like the channel and you want to help me out, I'm going to really, really appreciate it. And I'm not going to use the money for anything but the channel. For instance, Magfest. I could probably afford to get some decent equipment, but if I got, help from you guys, I could definitely get much better equipment. And I'm obviously going to do research, and I'll be very transparent about the whole thing. I've had some experience with people that aren't transparent about fan funding, and I won't get into it, but I believe in total transparency. If you're handing me money and saying, I want to support the channel, I damn well better be putting it towards the channel. I'm not pocketing it. So, yeah, basically, you're like, why the hell do I need to give you money? You're rich. You live in America, whatever. I don't know. The reason I would like to start raising a little bit of funding is I would like to do more album giveaways, and I want to be able to give money to the artists that I'm buying the album from. Basically, gifting the album to you on, Bandcamp or iTunes or Louder or whatever. And then also, eventually, I'd like to start doing game giveaways, like, new games coming out next year. Uncharted, for instance. Maybe we do a little competition, and I give whoever wins the competition Uncharted 4, which is going to be a great game, I'm sure. So, and then finally, like I mentioned, Magfest and equipment and all that. I don't want to talk anymore about it. Basically, I'm making a PayPal, and I should have the link to it in the description. And I'm going to make it for this channel. And I may periodically mention it, but that's all I'm going to say is I really don't expect anybody to give money, but I just want to throw out there, if you want to help, that's great. I have a few more ideas, and I don't really want to mention right now because they're still too early, but I think that about covers it. And I'm sorry if this went on too long. I really tried to make it as quick as possible. But right now, the way I feel is that this community is small, but I'm talking about GameLark remixes. The VG community is pretty big now, and it's growing. And I like what I'm seeing. I like the interaction I'm seeing among fans, and I've heard a couple stories where I've brought, or artists have met through this channel, and that is the most encouraging thing to hear. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of doing this channel is that I love music and I love video games, and I hope that you all do too. Otherwise, I don't know what you're doing here or why you're watching this video. But anyways, I guess the summary for 2016, the hopes will be bigger, badder, betterer. So thanks for sticking around if you watched this whole video, and thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you next year. What? I'm just kidding. I'll see you next year.